By the end of this talk, you'll see how an unseen past has been shaping your present and what you can do next. So often when we struggle in love or in life, the voice in our head whispers, "What's wrong with me?" But what if that's the wrong question altogether? What if the truth is not about some flaw inside us, but about what happened to us long before we had words, long before we could choose differently? When we speak of childhood trauma, many of us imagine dramatic events, violence, abandonment, loss, and yes, those can leave deep scars. But trauma can also be quieter. It can be the moments when no one noticed our tears, when our excitement was met with silence, or when our needs felt too big for the people we depended on. Emotional neglect isn't about being unloved, it's about being unseen. A child who isn't mirrored, soothed, or made to feel safe learns to carry a heavy question: am I too much or not enough? And here's the most important part: the ways we adapted were not mistakes, they were intelligent. If closeness felt risky, we learned to shut down our feelings. If love felt scarce, we clung tightly, hoping not to lose it. If anger wasn't safe, we swallowed it, turning the fire inward. These responses were the nervous system's way of keeping us alive. They were survival at its best, but the same patterns that once protected us can now misfire. As adults, we might find ourselves repeating cycles, choosing partners who cannot love us back, numbing with work or substances, feeling restless even in moments of safety. And instead of seeing these as old wounds speaking through us, we often blame ourselves. That's why we need a new frame: not shame, not judgment, but compassion. We are not broken. We are carrying imprints of what once happened to us, written into our bodies, our emotions, even the way we reach for love. When we understand this, we can begin to meet ourselves with the same tenderness we once longed for from others. She met Daniel at a friend's gathering. He was charming in that quiet way, attentive enough to ask about her work, but vague when the conversation turned personal. Something in his restraint drew her in. It felt familiar, though she couldn't have said why. After a few weeks, they were seeing each other regularly, but the pattern was already there. She'd send a long text about her day and get back a one-line reply. She'd reach his hand at dinner and he'd let it rest for a moment before gently pulling away to adjust his napkin. Each time, a small pang. Each time she told herself not to make it a big deal. She tried harder. She remembered how he liked his coffee and surprised him with it at work. She laughed a little louder at his jokes, softened her own opinions so he wouldn't drift further. When he went silent for days after an argument, she wrote him a long apology, even though she wasn't sure what she had done wrong. And when he finally returned with a half smile and a shrug, relief flooded her body as if she had been holding her breath all along. On paper, she knew this wasn't enough. Friends told her she deserved more, that love shouldn't feel like begging for scraps. But whenever she thought about walking away, the fear in her chest grew tight, like the air would disappear if she let go. Something deeper than reason kept her there, reaching again and again for a hand that was never fully open. 3 insights emerged from her story. First, the pull toward distant partners often begins in early misattunement, those moments in childhood when a parent's eyes didn't quite meet ours, when our joy or sadness wasn't echoed back. Second, the nervous system equates that distance with safety. It learns this is what love feels like and repeats it even when it hurts. Third, we adapt by working harder for closeness, apologizing too quickly, shrinking our needs, or clinging to the slightest sign of approval. Because once, as children, that was the only way to hold on to connection. And yet, patterns are not destiny. Even the deepest grooves in the heart can soften. The question becomes, what happens when we begin to listen not just to the ache of the old story, but to the quieter signals of the body asking for something new? On the outside, Marcus looked like he had it all together. He never missed a deadline, answered emails at midnight, and showed up to meetings with polished slides and a calm smile. Colleagues praised his drive. Friends admired how disciplined he was. What they didn't see was how hard it was for him to sit still. At home, the silence felt unbearable. He'd sink into the couch with his laptop still glowing, telling himself he was just finishing one more task. When the work ended, the scrolling began. News feeds, endless videos, anything to drown the restless hum inside his chest. Some nights, a drink helped blur the edges. Just one to take the edge off, then another. He wasn't reckless, he told himself. He was responsible. No one would guess how exhausted he felt behind the mask. He didn't think of himself as someone with a problem. He thought of himself as someone who couldn't afford to fall apart. If he kept moving, kept producing, kept numbing, maybe the ache beneath it all would stay quiet. The idea of slowing down felt dangerous, as if stillness would unlock something too heavy to face. From the outside, it might be easy to ask why the addiction, why the scrolling, why the constant busyness. But the deeper question is softer, more honest. Why the pain? These behaviors are not random flaws, they are responses. Intelligent, creative ways the body and mind found to keep Marcus safe from feelings that once felt unbearable. When love or safety were unreliable early in life, distraction became medicine. Work became armor, the glowing screen became a shield against loneliness. Substances became a pause button on the ache. Seen this way, there is no judgment, only compassion for the younger self who build these strategies, and tenderness for the adult who still leans on them. What was once survival may now feel like a cage, but cages can be opened gently, without blame. So the question shifts from what's wrong with me to something more spacious. You might ask yourself, what pain in me have I been working so hard not to feel? And just as important, what small act of kindness could I offer myself instead of running from that pain? Think of your body like a house with a smoke alarm. The alarm doesn't ask whether the fire is big or small, it just reacts. Burn the toast and the alarm blares just as loudly as it would for a real fire. Our nervous system works the same way. It remembers past danger even when our conscious mind has long forgotten the details. This is what we call implicit memory, the body remembering what the mind forgets. If, as children, we felt unsafe, unseen, or unloved, our inner smoke alarm got tuned to high sensitivity. As adults, that same system can go off even when we're not in real danger. Our partner's silence, a critical tone at work, even the sudden ring of a phone. Our chest tightens, our stomach flips, our heart races. The body says, something's wrong, protect yourself. Even if our rational mind knows it's just a meeting or just a pause in conversation, the alarm doesn't distinguish. Here's the hopeful part. This isn't weakness. It's not failure. It's evidence of how deeply your body has been trying to protect you all along. Your nervous system learned early on that certain cues might mean pain, so it stays alert. That's intelligence, not brokenness. Imagine someone who grew up in a home where anger was unpredictable. As an adult, when their boss raises an eyebrow, they might suddenly feel small or panicked, even if no one is yelling. That reaction makes sense once you see the body's memory at work. The smoke alarm is ringing, not because you're defective, but because it was tuned to protect you in an earlier fire. And here's the possibility. Smoke alarms can be recalibrated through safe relationships, gentle awareness, and kindness toward ourselves. We can teach the body that not every bit of smoke means danger. Bit by bit, the alarm can learn to rest. The first steps in healing don't have to be grand. They're often small, gentle shifts that help us see ourselves more clearly and give the body a sense of safety it may have missed before. Here are a few to try. Begin with an awareness journal. Each day, jot down what moments stir you. When you feel anxious, shut down, or clingy, note the time, the situation, and who you were with. This isn't about judgment, but about mapping your inner landscape. Seeing patterns on paper helps make the invisible visible. When you notice a trigger, try asking yourself one compassionate question. What might this feeling be protecting me from? Or when have I felt this before? These questions aren't about digging up pain for its own sake. They're about gently connecting today's reaction with yesterday's story. Understanding brings choice. Add one somatic pause each day. Could be as simple as 3 slow breaths, feeling your feet on the floor, or looking around the room and naming what you see. These acts signal safety to the body. They teach the nervous system that not every alarm means danger. Choose one boundary to practice this week. Could be saying, I can't talk right now, but I'll call you later. Or letting an email wait until tomorrow. Boundaries remind both you and others that your needs matter. They are small acts of dignity that rewire self-worth. Reach for one safe connection. That might be a friend who listens without judgment, a support group where stories feel familiar, or a therapist who can hold your experience with care. Healing doesn't happen in isolation. Safety is learned in the presence of safe others. Each of these steps is a way of saying to yourself, I deserve to feel, to pause, to matter, and to connect. In a gentle note, while these practices can support awareness and healing, if your pain feels overwhelming, consider reaching out to a trusted professional. Sometimes the safest step is not walking alone. Think back to the stories we explored, the one who kept reaching for distant love and the one who kept numbing with work and screens. Beneath both was the same truth, old pain shaping present choices. And now imagine this, roots cracked and gnarled beneath the soil, yet through those cracks, light begins to rise. Healing is like that, not instant, not neat, but steady. With each journal entry, each gentle pause, each boundary honored, each safe connection made, the light pushes upward. Change is slow, and that's not failure, it's wisdom. Safety always comes first. And every tiny win, a breath, a no, a moment of presence is already proof that new life is growing through old roots. If you've carried anything from this talk, let it be this. You are not broken for loving the wrong people or for numbing the pain in ways that once kept you safe. You were surviving. This week, I invite you to try just one experiment. Choose a single moment each day to pause, place a hand on your chest, and simply notice. What am I feeling right now? And what do I need? No fixing, no. That small act of awareness is a seed of change. And remember, the love you've been chasing outside has always been waiting quietly to be offered within.